What's up, fam? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and tonight we are talking about all of the test knives that we have been running this week and part of last week. Tons of updates on that. However, Nicole Dodge is here, hanging out on the porch.
I'll just be over here.
Yeah, she's hanging out there with her beer and Mr. Truffles and little Goo Goo Baby. Nicole, feel free to chime in if you have anything to say. Okay? We have a lot to talk about because last time I was hanging out with you guys, we talked about the beginning of the REX45 testing. I mentioned that this seemed like a steel that had a lot of potential. However, it kind of crapped out on me about halfway through my work day. I touched it up real quick to get it through the rest of the work day, and I just want to let you guys know that the stropping experience was really nice on this. It's very sharp again. No, I have not been able to actually give it a sharpening yet. I did 4 other knives tonight, and I just didn't have time for this one, so I still need to actually get that factory edge off, but I did strop it back a little bit just to make it usable, and it was a very good experience with this. So then I moved on to this REX45, which has been completely redone by my friend Anthony. This is a regrind, so it's crazy thin. It has a force patina from hot vinegar, a fresh edge on it, whole bunch of mods. I have a video on this. I think it's my last video, or 2 videos back. So I ran this, and it was like a night and day difference in comparison to this REX45. The blade is way thinner now. He completely thinned it out. I mean, it is like paper fucking thin. So the geometry obviously plays a part in the cutting experience. This one is way better than this one. However, Anthony had a hypothesis that this would just kind of unlock a lot of potential from REX45 that is hindered when you have a thicker blade, blah, blah, blah. And he was 100% right. This was working for days on end without even being stropped, and it was like scary sharp, and it just kept going. REX45 seems to really shine when you have a really thin blade, and he said that he left this at a 400 Veneve, I believe it's called, and then just a couple strops on some basswood, and it was a monster. I did put a new edge on it tonight just to see what happens after that. The sharpening experience was phenomenal. I mean, just a few passes on a 600 grit DMT, and we had a crazy burr going. So this is like a literal razor blade at this point. I will run this fresh edge at some point, but we have so many knives that we're testing this month that I can't really revisit this right now, but it does have a fresh edge for when I go to revisit it, and this one will get a fresh edge, and we'll do those together again. But so far, he's right. The thinner regrind on this, it was literally the craziest knife I've ever used of all time with that regrind. So that was a lot of fun. Then we went to Maxamet. As you can see, it was used a lot. This thing is honestly pretty grimy. So, ran this. Very much like the reprofiled REX45, it just didn't lose its edge at all. Maxamet, at least for me, seems to sometimes get little tiny microchips, which end up creating this working edge that just never fails. This time around, it did not microchip. I believe that the last time I used Maxamet, which was a year ago at least, I think the heat treat was a little different, and now it is less chippy. So this didn't microchip at all. It didn't do anything. It just kept a crazy, crazy edge. And I did sharpen it tonight. Freehand again. I started with a 325 DMT on this one just because I didn't think that the edge was burnt or anything, but I kind of just wanted to see what happened with a really low grit sharpening stone. So I did the 325 DMT, 2 swipes, and there was a crazy, burr. And the other reason I wanted to use the 325 is because people love to parrot that Maxamet is hard to sharpen, which is literally not true. Like, you probably just don't have the right sharpening stones. You probably have, like, stones that are too high of a grit or something, or they're cheap, because Maxamet is not hard to sharpen. It's very easy to sharpen. Literally 2 swipes on that 325, and I had a burr that was literally like catching my fingernail. So this only took about 1 minute to sharpen. I used the 325, then I used the 600, and then just a quick strop. It is so brutally toothy right now, and the experience, again, fantastic with this. Just a couple of minutes. It looks beautiful. So we will work through that nice clean edge at some point when we have time. And now we are on to Spyderco M4 and the Mini Crooked River from Benchmade. Now, I was supposed to do the Hogue series and then this duo. However, Jared Neves still has my Deca. I don't know how long he'll have that for. He's testing it. I told him to just beat the shit out of it, test it, put as many edges as he wants on it. And I haven't even heard anything back, so I think he's just like balls deep in testing, and I don't think I'm going to get that back anytime soon, which is totally fine. So I'm going to run these two together now, and then next week, if I still don't have the Deca back, we'll just save that whole Benchmade versus Hogue battle for another time when I get the Deca back. But yeah, so right now I've got these. I did use this for a full day. This is the Sage 5 lightweight with M4. I used this for a whole day and it made it through, and then on the second day it crapped out pretty quick on some cardboard work. So the M4 didn't last as long as the Maxamet or the Rex45. So this I ended up sharpening tonight as well. Sharpened up so freaking fast, guys. Literally just a few minutes. This one I started with the 600 grit DMT. I think maybe 3 passes and there was already a burr. So this one took just a few minutes. I left it at 600 because I really wanted to keep that tooth that M4 will take. So I did the 600 and then a few passes on some just plain leather. And this is like super sticky, super toothy, ready to work. I really like keeping my tool steels and specifically my M4 at 600 and really not going any higher than that for the most part. So this one is ready to rock again. Spyderco, I will tell you right now, does some of the best heat treat that I've ever used, because every time I go to sharpen, the experience is incredible. It is fast, it is easy, it is clean, it is balanced. There is no breakage. It's not hard to create a burr. It's just really, really nice. So Spyderco is doing these right. This is from Taiwan. So this is not one of our Golden Colorado buddies like the other ones. However, absolutely phenomenal heat treat. And the M4 does really good work. It just isn't as... It doesn't have as long of an edge retention as the other ones that I showed. The Rex45, Maxamet stuff. I would say that this is just like one level below those. So really good experience with this sharpening. Again, super freaking easy. Guys, if you have the right tools to sharpen, no steel is hard to sharpen, no matter how exotic it is. S90V, not hard. Maxamet, not hard. Guys, you just need like DMT stones, and they need to be like a 325 grit or a 600 grit, especially if you really use your knives. You have to remember that your sharpening stone has to be harder than your blade steel. If you're buying a 1000 grit traditional stone, like a Japanese water stone, that is going to be softer sometimes than like Maxamet per se. So it won't move the blade material. It will not move the steel. It will not create an edge because it's not hard enough to push those teeth on the edge back into alignment, right? No steel is hard to sharpen. They wouldn't create them for us if we couldn't take care of them. You just need a 325 grit diamond stone, okay? Peanut gallery. Now, the last one that I was using was the Mini Crooked River in S30V from Benchmade. Not testing S30V. I've already tested that 100 times from Benchmade. This was just kind of like my hard use folder that was paired with the sage here. Zadie, please. So this, I had mentioned like last summer that I think it was made to be not made to be an EDC knife, but I think it can be used as an EDC knife, and I've always been curious as to why they made this a folding hunting knife. Zadie, if you could please stop. Because having a folding hunting knife for gutting animals is kind of stupid because the guts and the blood and the hair all get caught in the moving parts, and it's just a bitch to clean out. So I always use fixed blades when I am working on wild game. And I had mentioned that I think this will just be a good like EDC knife, not really a hunting knife. However, in using it for EDC, guys, can you stop her? Look at these knuckleheads. Interrupting my video. Anyway, in using this for EDC tasks, it's just not quite there. It reminds me a lot of the Emerson Micro Commander that I was just using. It's just a little thick for a lot of tasks. It's not a good cardboard cutter. It will open packages, of course. It will cut twine and rope, and it can trim produce and stuff, but just the thickness and the blade, the grind on it, just not super ideal for any slicey tasks. So this is a little more of like a hard use knife in my opinion. Of course you could use it for hunting. The blade shape specifically is for like skinning game. I would just use it as kind of like a farm and field knife almost, like this will be kind of like my hard use beater. It's got a really good clip point on there. Very rugged, obviously using it side by side with the Sage 5, it's nowhere near as slicey as this. So, limited with EDC use, but if you are just an all-around user and beater on your knives, this is fantastic so far. I did sharpen it, put an edge on it, insanely fast, like a minute, and this thing was razor sharp again, popping hairs. The S30V is fantastic on it. This one I used a 1000 grit Nanawa Japanese Waterstone. S30V is much softer than those tool steels that I just showed. I figured that this would burr up with a 1000 grit stone, and of course it did. So 1000 grit Nanawa stone with this S30V, just a minute or two. Really nice sharpening experience. The material moved very evenly and quickly. Stropped it on a strop after with 3000 grit compound, and it is good to go. This thing is fantastic. And no, it is not a mini knife, even though it's called a mini. This is absolutely a full-size knife. Let's bring in the Para 3 for size comparison real quick. Okay, so it's longer than a Para 3. It's a big knife. I can recommend all these so far. Obviously, this is not a review. My reviews are only done after a month of consecutive use. This is just first impressions and some sharpening experience and some ideas about the steel before we move into month testing with these blades. But good first impressions so far. Also, fuck these Spyderco clips. I don't know if I can get it on camera, but mine is completely bent that way. Can you guys see that? It's like angled up that way. These things fucking blow. Oh, I just moved it back. Okay, so I guess you can move it around. Jesus Christ. These things are garbage. And yes, this is tightened down all the way. It's just fucking flimsy as fuck. It's flimsier than your little prick dick. So, yeah, that's all I've got for you guys today. I will carry these for a couple more days, I think, and then we will see where things go. I will see you guys on the next video. Go use your shit. I love you all. I will see you soon. Learn how to sharpen your knives. Stop saying that Maxamet is impossible to sharpen. You are naive. I still love you. Unless you're part of Peanut Gallery, then fuck you. Bye, guys. Use your shit.